I've had the pleasure of working with Pat and Amy when it was literally just Pat and Amy. And I think a lot of what we're focusing on when we start talking about the statement of digital assets is really, I'd say, a team effort. A little bit of background. Propeller does outsourced CFO controller work. And the very first time we actually got to the point where we were reporting digital assets in terms of US GAAP, our client looked at the number and said, that's wrong. We turned around and said, well, no, it's right. It's lower of cost or impaired value, and showed them all of our reconciliations. But it really made no sense. And the balance sheet, for I think many businesses that carry digital assets is kind of fundamentally broken because you just have no sense of your true liquidity. This was really, I think, a big sticking point when you're talking with projects that are building on digital assets that have to report in GAAP. And so there's a real divide between what is on the balance sheet, what those numbers are, and what those founders really knew that they have in terms of their ownership of crypto. And really where we started out was when we look at what is on the balance sheet, we needed an easy way to actually show the proof from a wallet asset pair perspective what that number was and show that it was correct. Once we got to that point, we then said, well, we've got all the data. Operators really care about one thing, and that's what is the value of what's on the balance sheet. And so we extended to basically to include that as well, to get a full picture of liquidity. And then we realized this is not that novel of an approach, but it is again, David's gonna kick me for saying this, it's a fourth financial statement, fifth, for the CPAs out there, that really can be a standardized way of communicating and really bridging US GAAP to what is held on chain.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sam. I mean, some of this might look pretty familiar if you yourself are at some of these shops that have had struggled to try to convert your on-chain activity to actually GAAP financials. So one of the reasons why I've really enjoyed working with Sam, Propeller, and others on this is because this is exactly the sort of help you need to actually present your activity and positions accurately, right? And so, SoDA in general is this terrific collection of best practices, sometimes aspirational goals of financial reporting and related considerations. And so, speaking of financial reporting, we've been talking a lot about the latest ASU, right? 2023-08 around fair value reporting. And we're all very thankful for that, but Sam and I often chat about, well, that's great for some assets, but it didn't rope everything into its scope, right? And so you end up having to really break things out in detail. I would say, just let me know if you think it's a good time to sneak it in. A few considerations around, accounting, financial reporting relative to the latest ASU. We saw it coming, then it arrived. There were some early adopters last year. There's probably many more people adopting it this year. Several considerations. One, don't forget about principal market. If you're trying to actually value these positions, you have to often digital asset by digital asset be able to specify what that principal market is. I would say a second consideration is operational. Are you actually able to get the data you need about your positions and activity in this space? And of course, that's why Bitwave and other solutions are critical here to help you actually get reliable on-chain data. And then the third thing is financial reporting. Not just can you fair value some of these assets, but there's all sorts of disclosures that are required. You should be in a good place to be able to do it, but there's roll forwards and other sorts of things that are just not easy to do if you're not tracking all this detail. So I think that's most of it.
No, I think that's exactly correct. And We obviously, as a CFO, approached this from an operational perspective. But I think as we put it together, we came to realize that it wasn't just, let's make sure we can make sense of the financials. I think David's involvement really began when we started talking about how can we use this as a tool for audit readiness. Basically, everything else that requires a related party to actually begin to understand the business, SoDA has an application for. I would say maybe the largest VC, which will remain nameless, has adopted SoDA mandates for their port codes at year end. We advise our clients as they look to raise future funds to have this as a part of their data room. But you get into tax preparedness, compliance, and regulatory readiness. It really is, again, one of the things that I'm hoping to share with this group and people in the industry is would like to try to create this as a standard for all practitioners when they start thinking about reporting in US GAAP, but then also having a way that we all can be looking at saying, how does that actually connect with what we know to have on chain?
No, I absolutely agree. And so when I started working with Sam in this, we came up with sort of our first iteration of what are these best practices, really trying to aim to make things practically relevant for people in the industry. In accounting and finance groups. And so we're going to continue to iterate on this, right? Not only fleshing it out and aligning with other groups, but also bringing in more participants.
No, absolutely. And I think that a white paper was authored on the subject, came out at Mainnet last year, detailing what it is, why it's here, and really what are the applications. I would encourage all of you to go to sodafinance.xyz. And I'd say maybe even more importantly, I want this to be an inclusive project for the industry. And there's going to be an opportunity to get involved. At the very basic level, it's going to be, do you think this is a good idea? Endorse it. But again, this is not a firm-sponsored project. This is this is actually a napkin that I had written some crib notes on that I got on stage last year at EDAS. And this is very much the, I'd say the part of the origin of how we got to this particular moment. But this is what we shared, coming from this. We have a white paper. SoDA could not be possible without the very basic tools that Bitwave had 3 years ago. There's a exciting announcement Pat's going to be coming out and delivering. But yeah, no, it has been a fun ride, and I think we're just at the beginning. And again, I think this is really in the interest of serving the industry. And anyway, I will stop there.
Well, guys, thank you guys so much. It's always fun to hear about the progress of this. There'll be more progress, I'm sure, as we keep going. But one of the things that we're really excited to announce on the Bitwave side is that we built out the SoDA report inside of Bitwave so that you can now do it. And the way that we built it out, there's actually a new primitive in Bitwave that we are really, really excited to talk about. So here's the SoDA report. The way it works is you come into Bitwave. If you already have an inventory view set up, because obviously the SoDA report, if you were looking at it, it's a coupling of wallet information, current balance information, and then cost basis information. So it's all that stuff together in one report. So we basically pulled that all together, present it as you would like, allow you to sort it and filter it and everything like that. The SoDA report, at its heart, is a real-time report, right? Like you're running it for today or yesterday, whatever it is. But obviously, the use case around it is always about sharing those results with somebody. So sharing it with your VC, sharing it with your partner, sharing it with your mom if you really want to. So we actually built this thing called the snapshots. And so this is a feature that's going to be rolling across all of the different reports in Bitwave. But you can come in here, you can actually take a snapshot of the report. It will capture it at this moment in time. And then you can actually come in here and take these snapshots. Not only can you view them, look at them as much as you want, things like that, you can actually share them. So when we built out the sharing feature that Ori showed earlier around the wallet manager, we built it in such a way that we could use it in a lot of different places. So you can take this and you can add your VC, your VC's name right here, share it with them, and then they'd have access just to the Q4, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 SoDA reports for you. So we're really excited about this. We think it's a great innovation in the industry in general. We're excited to be part of it. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Pat.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Pat.
All right.